Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Apopka High School welcomes you to Joe Sterling Gymnasium for game number 19 out of 20 here in the 9th annual Metro versus Florida Challenge, the event that pits the Orlando Metro Conference against the best teams in the greater Central Florida area. And today we welcome as our guests, wearing the green jerseys, visitors on the scoreboard from Central Florida Christian Academy. They are the Eagles. And wearing the white jerseys, representing the Orlando Metro Conference in the second year of existence for their program, wearing the white jerseys, home on the scoreboard from Windermere High School, please welcome the Wolverines. Let's meet the teams. We'll begin with our guests from CFCA, and we'll start at point guard with 6' senior number 1, Bryce Street. At wing, 6'6" senior number 3, Antarius Washington. At shooting guard, 6'2" senior number 4, Reese Gustafson. At power forward, 6'5" senior number 20, Danny Rivera. And finally for the Eagles at wing, 6'5" senior and BCU commit number 2, Jordan Priester. The head coach of the Eagles in his 4th year at the helm of CFCA, Mr. Jonathan McClintock. And now let's meet the Windermere Wolverines, starting at guard with 6' senior number 5, Carter Zavada. At guard, 5'11" senior number 10, Josh Colon. At point guard, 6'2" sophomore number 11, Trey Moss. At forward, 6'6" junior number 12, Eric Canavan. And finally for the Wolverines at center, 6'8" senior and Florida Gulf Coast University commit number 1, Dakota Rivers. The head coach of the Wolverines, and of course his 2nd year at the helm of Windermere, Mr. Mark Griseck. The officials for tonight's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. Tonight's game, like all of our games in the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, is being streamed live to our YouTube channel, Metro vs. Florida Challenge. If you have friends and family back in Windermere, back on the other side of Orlando, or anywhere in the world, and they'd like to tune in live, make sure you send them a note right now and tell them to go to the YouTube app on their computer, their favorite mobile device, or their favorite smart TV, and search for Metro vs. Florida Challenge. You can also get the links to that, as well as to our live play-by-play stats, on our website, metrovsfl.com. That's metrovsfl.com. And welcome to Joe Sterling Gymnasium for the second to last time of our Metro vs. Florida Challenge. My name is Mark Barchi. I am the media director of the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, and I am joined as always by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief, and we'll be taking you through this penultimate contest of our 9th annual event.
Well, Mark, the game that we've been waiting most of the day for is finally here. Like you said, we have 19. This is the 19th out of 20 events. So this surely was one of the 3 or 4 events that really stuck out, that caught the eye first when the schedule came out. As you mentioned, this is Central Florida Christian Academy taking on Windermere.
Foul called against Wolverines number 1, Dakota Rivers, his first and the team's first, and it sends Antarius Washington to the line to shoot 2 for the Eagles.
So again, Mark, great job doing the introductions here. Already 11-6 lead for the Metro Conference, so that has already been taken care of. But we look at this matchup. This should be, again, one of the matchups that highlight this year's event. You got a team in only its 2nd year, that's Windermere High School, did the almost what's thought to be impossible, going 16-10 in their first season.
Josh Colon to Trey Moss for 3. Yeah, they actually had a not half bad run at the district tournament either, and really, I think, annoyed a lot of people, myself included, yes, as I think about, Wekiva's history, since you and I are the house announcers at Wekiva. It's like, wait a minute, that's not fair. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to suck in your first year. It's a rite of passage. You can't have a winning record with no seniors in the inaugural year of your program.
Yeah, and even though, again, for those of you who are just tuning in, Mark and I cover, we're the regular announcers or for broadcasters for the Wekiva Mustangs about five miles down the road.
Putback made by Dakota Rivers.
And, of course, Wekiva in its first year won only 2 games. The second year they took a tremendous leap, going up to 12 victories. And then in the third year, they got into the playoffs with 19 runs, if my memory serves me correct. I mean, I remember them being in the FHSA postseason tournament.
Foul called against number 5. Carter Zavada, his first, the team's second.
I believe they won 19 games. But again, it took 2. Again, in the first year, they won only 2 games, and during the first half of that season, they got the running clock at least half of those games. So Windermere comes in, they go 16-10 in their first season. They lost in the district quarterfinals. That's the 8A District 5 championship tournament, but that was a very, very close game. It came down to the last minute before Windermere finally fell. Of course, the main reason for that starts with the head coach. That's Mark Griseck. I remember very clearly last year at this event talking about Griseck's qualifications. He was not an up-and-coming coach, nor was he just a successful coach.
Putback made by Dakota Rivers.
Mark Griseck, of course, is a coach who has excellent experience and excellent success in starting a program, that being Olympia about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and he took Olympia all the way to about as high as you can go. They fell one step short of the ultimate goal, which is winning a state championship. They went to the state finals, and I believe it was 2008, 2009, and they had a run of about 10 straight years of qualifying for the FHSA postseason tournament, and during that time, I believe the lowest win total was 17 games.
30-second timeout requested by the Eagles. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at Burn Fat Orlando for their generous sponsorship of the 2019 Metro vs. Florida Challenge. They invite you to step on the scale every day while under their program to make sure that you're holding them accountable to the money-back guarantee. If you don't lose weight within the first 10 days, they'll refund your money. You can lose up to 30 to 40 pounds with Burn Fat Orlando. Give them a call at 855-889-THIN. That's 855-889-THIN.
So as we come back to live action, Mark, of course, just spoke about Coach Griseck. He wasn't just a very good coach. He wasn't an excellent coach. He was an excellent coach whose resume included starting a program from scratch and turning them into a state championship contender, taking the Olympia team in 08 and 09 all the way to the final. But he had some excellent players to come along with him. At the top of the list is Dakota Rivers, Florida Gulf Coast University commit. And he's a senior, so you only have about another half a season to catch him. And I know there's some other players out there, but I can tell you from personal experience, he's number one. If you have an opportunity to catch him here in his last half a season, make it a priority. This kid is going to be something special, not only at the college level, but he's good enough to play in the NBA.
Jordan Priester picks up a 2-point jumper for the Eagles.
Dakota Rivers, again, 2018 Sentinel All-Area 4th Team, Prep Hoops class of 2019. Number 377, that's National. Florida Hoops class of 2019, number 20. He's a center, 6'8", and again a senior.
Dakota Rivers to Eric Canavan.
And of course, his running mate, if you will, is also well known. Only a freshman last year, a sophomore this season, 6'2", point guard. Of course, Rivers needs someone to get him the ball. That's Trey Moss. He's Prep Hoops class of 2021, number 187. That's nationwide. In Florida Hoops class of 2021, number 7. So actually, as good as Rivers is, Moss is actually a little bit higher in all the rankings, albeit different classes. They returned everybody from that team last year who went 16-9, including the first 5 starters. And they also picked up Dante Love, a senior who transferred from Dr. Phillips.
Foul called against Eagles, number 1, Bryce Street. His first personal foul, the team's first.
So, and again, Windermere is Class 8A District 5. And Central Florida Christian Academy, under Jonathan McClintock in his 4th season, as you mentioned, Mark, they're one of those teams that every year, as I mentioned, they don't rebuild, they reload. They're a smaller team in the smaller ranks, so Class 2A, District 5. But again, in basketball, you get these schools like Central Florida Christian Academy that can compete with the Class 8A and 9A guys because they reload every year. They're off to a slow start this year, only 6-8. Last year they were 27-4, made it to the regional championship. That's the round of 8 before falling, and they return just about everybody, about 2/3 of the seniors, as about 2/3 of the starters, and almost the entire bench. And they are led by Jordan Priester, who's going to Bethune-Cookman.
Putback made there by number 3, Antarius Washington.
Jordan Priester is a wingman, 6'5" senior, 2018 Orlando Sentinel, honorable mention, Florida Hoops class of 2019, ranked number 55. So they counter as well. 27-4 last season, and of course their goal is to win the state championship. They got a ways to go off to a 6-8 start, but again, they have the experience to make a run here.
Riley Kugel adds 2 for the Eagles, and so CFCA had a rough start to this game, but they're certainly not out of it yet. Three-point basket by E.J. York from Dante Love.
So you get a lot of these matchups here in the Metro versus Florida Challenge, where you get these schools from the smaller classes, 1, 2, 3, taking on the bigger classes, aside from the fact that you got a Metro member taking on a Florida member. So it's also a great opportunity, this event, for these smaller classification schools to prove that they can take on anybody here.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, I mean, remember that Windermere was primarily a relief school for West Orange. So West Orange is 9A. They split off. Half their kids went to Windermere. Windermere is still 8A, and West Orange is still 9A. So to give you an idea of how absurdly large West Orange was, they split the school in half, and they're still in the largest and second largest classifications even after the split.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far here in this game, we have seen a lot of offensive rebounding by Windermere. That pretty much, I believe they scored 6 points off of offensive rebounds, which is the difference. That's Trey Moss, their number 11, who started this offensive possession. And they are shooting the lights out here in the first quarter, Mark.
E.J. York from Josh Cologne, 4-3. Priester shoots a short air ball.
Second? Okay.
1 second on the clock. We'll put the ball in one more time.
So unlikely that Windermere's going to score here, but just to add insult to injury, they do have an opportunity.
Well, actually, no, it's going to be Eagles ball.
Oh, excuse me. Well, an opportunity then for Central Florida Christian to be able to negate some of that momentum built by Windermere. They don't.
And that takes us to the end of the first period, and it's going to be a 15-6 ball game. The Wolverines on top of the Eagles, 15-6 at the end of 8 minutes. We'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at St. Germain Chiropractic Clinic, where they offer the best non-invasive healthcare services in the Central Florida and Orlando areas. If you suffer from back or neck pain, headaches, if you've been involved in an auto accident or a slip and fall injury, and you have pain, call St. Germain, where most insurance is accepted. They are proud sponsors of the 9th Annual Metro versus Florida Challenge.
So as we come back here to live play, as you mentioned, Mark, a 15-6 lead by Windermere, and that was basically established with a run of 7-0 there at the beginning of the game, hitting all 3 field goal attempts.
Hold called against Jordan Priester, his first, the team's second.
Again, Windermere not shooting the ball well, actually they are shooting the ball a little bit above average, 6 of 14, but the biggest factor of that, again, was they made 3 of their first 3 field goals. They're actually 3 of 7 from both 2-point and 3-point range, and only 3 of 14 combined for CFCA.
Antarius Washington picks up the Eagle basket.
So right there, a 47-48% rate compared to about 20. You're obviously going to see a difference in the scoreboard. Windermere also built a 10-6 lead. Very few turnovers, just 3 combined. So that has not been a factor in this game. Again,
well, we just added one. Traveling, Wolverines ball.
So again, a 7-0 run by Windermere has pretty much been the difference right now. And as soon as that 7th point went down, Coach McClintock called a timeout. His team does seem to be settling down somewhat, but not being able to do enough to really cut into the lead.
Hold is called against Danny Rivera, his first, the team's third.
And while you focus all your attention, if you're the defense, on Dakota Rivers and Trey Moss, as I spoke very highly of them at the beginning.
Dakota Rivers picks up the Windermere dunk.
Speaking very highly of them, you know all about them. But Elliot York has been a great third option. He scored 11 points in that first quarter. So, again, this Windermere team is far from just a one-man or even a two-man team. They have a third and even fourth option to go to, and they did in that first quarter. Again, strong rebounding. Unfortunately, can't hold on to the ball. Only the second turnover for Windermere.
Foul called against number 1, Dakota Rivers, his second, the team's third. The basket by Antarius Washington is good. He's at the line shooting for the 3-point play, but first, Eric Canavan returns to the game for the Wolverines. Out of bounds, Eagles ball.
So after such a great start there, great decision making, avoiding committing mistakes, Windermere has made 3 in a row here. Opportunity for CFCA to cut further into that lead. It's a 6-point deficit right now. And Windermere has come out here in a zone.
Antarius Washington fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against number 5, Carter Zavada. That's his second personal foul, the team's fourth. Checking into the game for the Wolverines, Josh Colon.
So we talked about the turnovers on the last possession, 2 in a row here by Windermere. Now the fouls are starting to add up too. We got 4, and there's still a little bit less than 6 minutes. CFCA going with a full court defense here. Nice job by Windermere to keep their patience.
Putback made by Eric Canavan.
And if you're a fan of the big men and play underneath the basket, you just got some a nice look there. Great play there by Canavan. Perfect use of his body, and we're seeing it here again, drawing the foul.
Foul is called against number 2, Danny Rivera, that's his second personal foul, the team's fourth. Checking into the game for the Eagles, number 10, Jawan Priester. So we keep our Priester quota constant. One comes out, one comes in.
Windermere's also playing a zone too. I believe, Mark, this is the first time in this entire event that we've seen both teams relying primarily on a zone.
Josh Colon is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot two. The foul is called against number 1, Bryce Street, his second in the team's fifth.
So as we've talked about throughout the whole event here, Mark, it's very rare for teams to play anything other than man-to-man nowadays. That goes pretty much hand-in-hand with motion offenses, which is what's primarily used on the offensive end.
There we go, fish, Daniel! Go, Trey! What you want?
So again, Canavan doing work on the boards there, looking very nice and impressive.
Josh Colon picks up the layup.
And now Windermere is going into man-to-man. So looks like Windermere has a number of defenses. Like to give the opponent a different look.
And Torius Washington for 3 on the pass from number 10, Jawan Priester. Putback made by Eric Canavan.
So we talked about Canavan on the defensive end, and there shows some offensive prowess. And again, Windermere is not a team that's built on 1 or 2 players. Talked about Elliot York. He put down 11 in the first quarter. Now we're getting even another option with Eric Canavan doing some work on both ends of the court here.
And Torius Washington picks up 2 for the Eagles, and we'll pause here for a CFCA timeout. 30-second timeout requested by the Eagles. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at Baptiste Orthodontics. They are such great partners to all of our Orange County Public Schools. You'll find them as a partner in education all over the place. In particular, we want to thank them for their grants to the Metro versus Florida Challenge and acknowledge that they offer all sorts of orthodontic options for you, from the most traditional braces to the latest innovations, ceramics, Invisalign, Propel, ClearCorrect, and more. And now they have a third location right here in Apopka that makes it even more convenient to serve you. They also have their locations on Colonial Drive and Conroy Windermere Road, and now the newest one across the street from Kitline Nelson Park, a beautiful location at 12 South Park Avenue. You can get quality braces starting at $129 a month. Call them today for your free consultation and a free x-ray with no down payments. Baptiste Orthodontics.
So coming back to live play now, CFCA, they've gone most of the game with full court defense. Although it's not consistent, or at least not remains in effect. Looks like pretty much they try to get the turnover off the inbound pass, and if they don't, they settle back into half-court defense. A lot of hands getting in the way of the ball there, and eventually it does come loose.
Danny Rivera is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against Wolverines. Number 15, Darrell Armstrong, his first and the team's 5th. Lane violation against the Wolverines. One more shot coming up for Rivera.
So opportunity there given up by Windermere to get out of this possession without giving up any points. And, well, no harm, no foul, at least as far as scoring, but that quickly changes.
Putback scored by number 2, Jordan Priester.
And Windermere fell asleep there at the wheel on that play. There was only one CFCA player who got in there, and there was 3 Windermere players.
2 green.
Foul called against number 2, Jordan Priester, is second, the team's 6th. So that's the last foul without a bonus penalty.
2:37 left here in this first half. Again, game that really sticks out on the schedule for the Metro versus Florida Challenge. Got a big-time school, school in Windermere, Class 8A, taking on a smaller classification school in CFCA. Then you add into that Windermere is a second-year school, came out of the blocks with a 16-10 record.
Josh Colon picks it up for the Wolverines.
So several backstories here going into this game, and what you got is a very entertaining game through the first half.
And Terrius Washington.
So again, another stop, pop, and drop move there. Stopping in on a dime and going up for a nice, easy bank shot. So again, Canavan, 6'6" junior, forward, trying to continue to make his presence known on the offense. Can't do it.
Bryce Street picks up 3, and we'll pause here for a timeout. 30-second timeout requested by the Wolverines. And we had a little bit of haywire stuff going on here with the buttons on the scoreboard. We will fix that now. It is 27-24. Let's see. Let's get that right. There we go. Much closer than it was looking there for a moment. We just had the wrong keys pressed on the scoreboard. The scoreboard in the arena has it right and has the whole time. But now we have everything synchronized, and it's a 3-point lead for the Wolverines, 27-24. And CFC has 6 fouls. The Wolverines have 5.
So a minute and a half left here. CFCA is now down to 3. As we mentioned, a 7-0 run began the game by Windermere. They nailed 3 field goals during that run to get to 7 points.
Let's go! Dive, Jordan, dive! Dive!
Steal by E.J. York.
Yeah, only the 5th steal of the game there. I mean, the 5th turnover by CFCA. And now the momentum opportunity has switched. Oh, and there you see, I talked about Rivers at the beginning of the game.
Putback is made by number 1, Dakota Rivers.
And that was textbook offensive rebounding, and nice touch there, just a very soft tip to get the ball in.
Bryce down here.
1 had the putback.
Yeah, stagger and flare for you. Go. Ice Jordan.
So an opportunity for CFCA to even tie the game. That goes by the wayside with that great play there by Rivers. And now CFCA has to look at cutting into the lead. Of course, they could still take some momentum into that halftime here with the points. So again, Canavan showing up on the defensive end, causing problems in that field goal attempt.
That takes us to halftime, and it's a 5-point ball game. Now it is a 29-24 score. The Wolverines lead the Eagles at the end of 16 minutes.
Arrow change. We'll give you horn at 3. Yes, sir.
And we'll review your halftime stats as we take a break here at the midpoint of this game. Riley Kugel has 2 points and 1 steal for the Eagles. Bryce Street, 3 points, 1 rebound. Jordan Priester, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal. And leading his team for the first half, Antarius Washington, 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal. As for the Wolverines, we've got Trey Moss with 3 points and 4 rebounds. And then 6 points each for Josh Cologne, Eric Canavan, and E.J. York. Cologne also has a rebound and 2 assists. Canavan also has 4 rebounds. And York has 2 steals. Leading his team for the first half, Dakota Rivers, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. For those of you listening to our online webcast, we're going to take a break for about the next 7 minutes, and then we'll be back here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium to wrap up the last game and a half here at the 9th Annual Metro vs. Florida Challenge, presented by Burnfat Orlando and St. Germain Chiropractic Clinics. All right, welcome back to Joe Sterling Gymnasium for the second half of game 19. We're getting things started with a foul here. Dakota Rivers is fouled. He'll go to the line. Foul called against number 2, Jordan Priester. That's his third personal foul, the team's first this half. Jumper from the baseline by Jordan Priester.
Let's go, Daniel. No elbow catch. Let's go. Three-quarter back to the middle, Daniel. Three-quarter. In it. That's it. Grab it.
Foul called against Windermere's number 12, Eric Canavan. That's his first, the team's first. Jordan Priester on the pass to Danny Rivera. Still a three-point ball game. And the three is not going to go for Josh Colon here. Offensive rebound will keep it in control of the Wolverines. And boy, Neil, right now the Wolverines are surviving off that 7-0 run they had to start the game.
Grab that thing. Grab it. Shoot it. Outlet.
Defensive rebound finally goes to the Eagles with Danny Rivera. To the other end, and it's no. Rebound bounces to Trey Love.
Stay, Reese, stay. Wall, Jordan, wall.
So, again, Mark, as you mentioned, 7-0 run is the difference right now. As the lead is only 3 points. Nobody, but look, and again, that was a great start for Windermere, not only in the scoring, but the fact they went 3 of 3 from the field.
Foul called against number 5, Carter Zavada, his third personal foul, the team's second. And that will send the Eagles' number 2, Jordan Priester, to the line to shoot 2.
So Windermere ended that first half. Both teams shot the ball very, very well from the 2-point range. CFCA going 8 of 14, just so it's about 56%. Windermere right at 50, 9 of 18. Both teams had their struggles from 3-point range, shooting below 20%. Neither team turned the ball over much, 5 each, so neither team with an advantage there. But the big advantage was on the boards, a 20-12 advantage by Windermere.
Nice deflection there by Riley Kugel.
So far, even though Windermere came out with that 7-0 advantage, this game certainly has lived up to the hype and the expectations, Mark, as far as the competitiveness.
Offensive charge is called against Trey Moss, his third, the team's third.
So we've seen good all-around games here from both teams, except for the 3-point field goal shooting. And now Windermere going to full court defense.
Backcourt violation. Wolverines ball.
And number 5, Carter Zavada, number 5 for CFCA, Riley Kugel, was pretty much left out there on an island when he was double-teamed. Did not get any help from CFCA. But again, no harm, no foul as Windermere makes a bad pass. It's tipped. And we get goaltending.
Goaltending, no baskets. Checking into the game for Windermere, Dante Love. And for the Eagles, number 1, Bryce Street.
So we saw both teams in that first half go for periods to full court defenses. Neither team has really started off here in a full court defense as far as everyone being involved. That last turnover was actually just a couple of guys coming into the backcourt.
5:06 in the third.
30-second timeout requested by the Wolverines. And we'll take this opportunity to thank our friends at Elevate Orlando, a proud grant donation from them to the Metro vs. Florida Challenge. They are a civic nonprofit that is focused on helping students in strength of character and application of essential life skills. And they do that both inside and outside the classroom. They offer an accredited elective course through Orange County Public Schools, and their employees are able to spend more than 50% of their time outside the school mentoring students. With a 98% graduation rate and 96% post-secondary placement, see what the 1,550 students already involved have already discovered. Elevate Orlando.
So real quick, Mark, again, since we are almost done, if you are new to the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, basically what it is you have all the schools in the Orange County, all the public high schools in Orange County. They belong to the Metro Conference, and in each game, one of the members of the conference takes on a school from outside the conference or the Florida contingency.
Jordan Priester on the pass from Riley Kugel.
And at the end of the 20 games, well actually 19 games, we add up how many members from the Metro Conference beat the schools from outside the Metro Conference. And of course it was the brainchild of Scott Williams. He's now the coach of Apopka. He was at Wekiva at the time he came up with the idea. At the time, Wekiva was only in his third season, so Coach Williams felt the school, the program needed some type of event that gave it attention, raised its profile, and of course the event has grown to 20 games over 4 days, and now it's played on Martin Luther King holiday over the weekend. Originally played on Thanksgiving, and is now played up here at Apopka since Coach Williams has moved from Wekiva to Apopka. The overall standings are now 11-6.
Fouls called against number 21, E.J. York. That's his first personal foul, and the team's fourth. At the line is number 2, Jordan Priester.
So CFCA here has outscored Windermere at the beginning of this game, beginning of this second half, by 7-2 count. Now make that 8-2 to not only tie but take the lead. Now 9-2. Nice stroke there at the line by Jordan Priester. As we mentioned, he is going to Bethune-Cookman, a 6'5" senior wingman, 2018 Sentinel. Honorable mention, Florida Hoops class of 2019, number 55. Certainly coming up to his status there, scoring several points here in the first half of the second half.
Joanne Priester is called on the foul. It's his first, the team's second. Trey Moss on the pass for 3. E.J. York had the basket. 21.
So Trey Moss living up to his reputation.
Yeah, good inside pass from him.
Setting up Elliott York, a nice easy three-point field goal, uncontested.
Jordan Priester picks up 2 for the Eagles. Foul called against number 5, Riley Kugel. That's his first personal foul, and the team's third. At the line shooting 2, Josh Colon.
So all of the big names here have certainly shown up, Mark. One other thing, though, and I mentioned this in the first half, Windermere is not a school that relies on 1 or 2 options. They're pretty strong as far as options, players they can go to throughout, and we just saw that in the last tray with York draining that tray after being set up by Trey Moss.
So it's a new ball game with 3 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in the third period. Kugel going head-to-head here with Zavada, gets around. Screening foul is called against Juwan Priester, his second, the team's fourth.
So now, the last 5 possessions have ended with either a lead change or a tie. 3:02 left here in the third quarter. And as I mentioned, Mark, this is not just Metro Conference versus Florida. This pits a lot of these smaller schools, such as Central Florida Christian Academy. They're a 2A class school. They take on the bigger schools like Windermere. Opportunity for them to prove they can play with the big boys, so to speak. In football, of course, you'd never have a school from 2A be able to take on Windermere High and be take on an 8A team and be competitive. But in basketball, it's a different story, and we're seeing that tonight.
Basket by E.J. York.
Blocked there by Windermere. Great defensive play, getting into position at the right time. Again, one of the things my former coach, I know it's 30 years ago, but this does not change. It doesn't matter how skilled you are, how athletic, how physical you are, if you can't get to the position to block the ball in the first place.
Yeah, and Josh Colon makes a curious choice with the 3 there. He had no help under the basket to get the rebound, so that was either a make it or lose it, and he lost it.
So approaching a minute and a half, Windermere with a 37-35 lead.
No basket, traveling. Wolverines ball.
And again, throughout this event, Mark, we've talked about honorable victories, honorable losses, and you can take that even one step further in honorable mistakes. That was not an honorable mistake, an unforced error there. There was a lot of men around him, but you should never come up with a traveling. Now we see a very great play by CFCA with that block on the defensive end. Good job by Windermere, though, to keep concentration and get that loose ball. So another opportunity for CFCA to tie the score or even take the lead again. So we went through a period of about 5 possessions where teams scored, both teams scored with each possession, and the lead either changed hand or tied, or we had a tie score. Now we've gone 4 straight possessions without any points, and Windermere's been holding on to the lead throughout those 4 possessions. 30 seconds left here in the third quarter.
Down the baseline, Danny Rivera for 2.
So nice play there. Drew some contact, but nothing that would create foul. Bump and run, so to speak, using that bump to give him momentum moving forward under the basket. And now Trey Moss again. Opportunity to set his team up here as the clock drains off in the third quarter. Can't get the points, and we're going to end at 37-37. And I would say that the momentum is definitely in CFCA's advantage, coming back to tie the game after 3 quarters.
That takes us to the end of the third period, and it is going to be a new ball game when we come back. It's 37-all with 8 minutes left to play. And boy, we really did save some of the best games for last, as we have had a number of close ones here on day 4 of the Metro versus Florida Challenge. We'll be back with 8 more minutes of this 19th game in just a moment. We will take this opportunity to thank our friends at WBZW-AM, who have been a great supporter of Apopka Blue Darter Athletics all year long, but in particular we want to thank them for their support of the Metro versus Florida Challenge. They've offered us some very generous promotion to help get the word out to the community about this fantastic 20-game showcase. It's your hometown station, AM 1520 WBZW. And we want to thank the Apopka City Commission, in particular Kyle Becker, for their support of our Metro versus Florida Challenge.
So coming back here to live action, Mark, as you mentioned, 37-37, a 13-8 quarter in favor of CFCA to tie this ball game up. And as Darryl Waltrip likes to say, I know I mentioned this a few times, if you're a NASCAR fan, buckle up your seatbelts, because this is going to be one fast-paced fourth quarter. Not quite as physical and hard contact as we've seen in some of the other games, which was the reason why I mentioned it. But certainly we've seen some very fast-paced, up-tempo games here. Pace here in this game.
White 5.
Foul called against number 5, Carter Zavada, his 4th personal foul, the team's 5th. Checking into the game for Windermere, number 21, E.J. York.
And, you know, I've mentioned throughout this game, I know I've talked more about Windermere, but both tools, CFCA as well, they, of course, have their stars, their guys who are ranked nationally in the recruiting class. Windermere is Dakota Rivers and Trey Moss. CFCA is Jordan Priester. But they have some great options, some great complements here, going all the way down to 3rd and 4th options, and we've seen that throughout this game. They have come up big when the Stars have been handcuffed by great defense.
Foul called against number 20, Danny Rivera, his 3rd, the team's 5th.
Both teams have played man-to-man for the majority of this game.
Come on, Ant. You're on 21 now, Ant. Pack it, Price. Pack that.
Bryce Street gets the rebound to the other end, trying to get around, and he does. Unable to close, though, and put back no good either.
So again, real quick here, have yet to mention the stats. Looking at the field goal percentage, both teams did pull off somewhat in that 4th quarter.
Eric Canavan picks up 2 for Windermere.
CFCA going 13 of 23, a little bit of around 40% from the field. And Windermere only 10 of 26. They were 50% at halftime. They're now down to about 40%, about 5-point differential.
Jordan Priester gets a basket and a chance to make it a 3-point play. The foul is called against number 11, Trey Moss. That's his 2nd personal foul on the team's 6th. Checking into the game for Windermere, number 1, Dakota Rivers.
Unable to get the free throw there, and opportunity to take the lead goes by the board. Both teams have gone down in field goal percentage as I mentioned, but Windermere still holding a 28-19 advantage in rebounding. CFCA with the slighter advantage in turnovers, only 8 compared to 10. Impressive stats both ways. And again, 39-39. So statistics certainly resembling or reflecting the overall score here as we get down to the final minutes of what's been an exciting game, and a game that certainly has lived up to the reputation of being one of the games that stuck out when the schedule came up.
A lot of fast break action going on here. Checking into the game for the Eagles, Riley Kugel.
So also like to take this opportunity with just over 5 minutes left. This event is played on the Joe R. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka. And I've mentioned it a few other times, but Joe R. Sterling was a great man here in Apopka. He was the coach in the 60s of Apopka, leading the Apopka to its only state championship in 1962. But again, he was everything that a coach is supposed to be. being a positive influence in young men or women's lives always came first besides strategy and winning and losing.
Layup by Dante Love.
So again, just want to make sure we got one more mention of him. He passed away about a year ago in his 90s. And for those of you just were wondering who Coach Sterling was, that's him in a nutshell.
Whoa, come on, sit, Daniel.
Josh Cologne for 3 on the pass from Dante Love. And we'll pause for a timeout called by the Eagles. Full timeout requested by CFCA. And ladies and gentlemen, you have but just a few more chances to pick up a copy of our souvenir program. They are just $1. It actually costs us more than that to print them, but we want to make them as affordable as possible. If you'd like to take 1 or 2 of them home with you, they are available at the admission table, and if you would like it for free, then we're happy to do that too. You just have to download it yourself. If you'd like it for your PDF, maybe you have an iPad you'd like to take it around with you, or you'd like to download it at home, that can be obtained at metrovsfl.com. Again, metrovsfl.com. You'll find the complete history of our 9-year running event there, along with all-time records and the complete past results. You'll also find our live play-by-play statistics, as well as our archive statistics from every game, all the way back to about the 3rd annual Metro versus Florida Challenge. So that's all on our website, again, metrovsfl.com.
So 4 minutes left here, a 44-39 lead taken by Windermere, scoring the last 5 points. And they've shown a variety here, going with the 2-point fadeaway and then the 3-point Trey.
And Terrius Washington.
So much needed points here, Mark, by CFCA. Can't let that 5-point run turn into 10 or 11. That would certainly be the end of the game.
E.J. York for 3.
So again, there's where those 3rd, 4th, and 5th options come into play. Dakota Rivers and Trey Moss have been shut down as far as the scoring here the last several minutes, but they've come up big with their teammates. Great passing, setting up that Trey there in the corner. Good across the paint to get the defense to move out of position and create open space. And now a great defensive play. Again, even though CFCA retains possession of the ball, it does give them pause when they go in again. Windermere remaining in man-to-man defense as they have throughout the ball game. Oh, nice cut and a nice pass. Oh, textbook give and go.
Priester to Washington for the basket, a chance to make it a 3-point play. The foul's called against number 11, Trey Moss. His 3rd, the team's 7th. Washington shooting 1.
And just when it looked like Windermere was getting some comfortability, Mark, CFCA pulls out a play. Missed opportunity. Great opportunity there to cut that lead to 1 possession. And they're going to pay. CFC pays dearly for that mistake.
Josh Cologne for 3 on the pass from Trey Moss. And you know, Neil, I was about to question the wisdom of when you have a fast break opportunity, why do you go to the outside corner and take a 3? But, hey, I can't argue with results.
You know, and the thing is, as I mentioned, neither team has shot the ball well from 3-point range, but when when Windermere needed a 3-pointer to really exert their presence and exert their hold playing from ahead, they get that Trey. Silky smooth execution.
Push is called against number 2, Jordan Priester, his 4th personal foul, the team's 6th.
And now on the other end, some strong defense. 2.5 minutes and a 7-point lead for Windermere. Again, their largest lead was 7 at the beginning of the game when they scored the first points. And now Windermere moving a little bit more deliberately with that 7-point lead and just over 2 minutes left.
7-point ball game, and Windermere getting it done when it counts.
Yeah, coming up with those streaks of plays. We mentioned, and I mentioned it in the last couple of games, they've all resembled each other in the sense of it's been back and forth until the last 2 to 3 minutes, and then it comes down to who can put together the possessions, 4, 5, 6 possessions in a row of good play in which they can score but hold the opponent off. And Windermere certainly has come up here with that. They're going to get another stop here. I believe that's 4 straight possessions. CFCA has been held off the points. So again, CFCA is not falling behind by more than 7, but 7 with a minute and a half left is certainly overcomeable.
Foul is called against number 1, Dakota Rivers. His 3rd personal foul, the team's 8th. Danny Rivera will be at the line to shoot when we come back from the timeout. Timeout called by Central Florida Christian Academy with a full timeout. And ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to stay with us for one more game. We've been here for 19 games. What's one more? Winter Park will play the First Academy. Coming up next, with an 8 o'clock scheduled start time, and that looks like it is likely to happen absolutely on time. And that will be, again, an 8 o'clock start. Winter Park versus the First Academy will be our capstone game, game number 20 out of 20 here at the 9th Annual Metro versus Florida Challenge, presented by Bernvat Orlando and St. Germain Chiropractic Clinic. Before we go tonight, we do want to take a moment and acknowledge all of the volunteers and the staff members from Apopka High School and the greater Apopka community who have come together to put together this massive 20-game showcase. This is a huge amount of effort from the admission table, the hospitality room, the concession stand, scorebook operations, score clock operations, and videography. It is a massive amount of work that needs to happen to make this happen for you here in the arena and for our viewers at home. So a special word of appreciation to everyone who comes together to make this 20-game showcase what it is. All right, so as promised, here's Rivera at the line.
So CFCA going into this 4th quarter, only 5 of 11 at the free throw line. This time, though, they're going to get those 2 free throws. Much needed here, obviously, and they're going to a full court defense. It's actually a trap, as you can see, 2 men double covering. And Windermere, excellent job breaking that press, understanding you need to make a couple extra passes. And now we're going to see Elliott York at the line.
Green one. Yes.
Foul is called against number 1. Bryce Street is 3rd, the team's 7th, and puts Elliott York at the line to shoot 1-on-1 bonus.
So again, when I see a 5 of 11 from the free throw line, I think that's more of an issue of what the team didn't do. In this case, that's leaving 6 points on the table, which is exactly what the lead is right now, Mark. So in the meantime, Windermere continues to shoot the ball well. They've only taken 8 shots from the free throw line, but they are now 7 of 8. So that's a 4-point difference, 5-point difference, and that's a 7-point lead. Under a minute now, 50 seconds to be exact. CFCA needs to get some buckets here. They can't afford to go without it. They're going to have to follow Windermere after getting those points. And, oh, great play, great effort there to keep that ball alive off the missed free throw. CFCA goes back to work, fade away. Great defense there. Wasn't able to quite spot up, straighten up, and get that angle that you want on that kind of a shot there along the baseline. And now that's going to do it, as I can hear Coach McClintock call the dogs off, calling no fouls. So, Mark, great game, lives up to its expectation here. Central Florida Christian Academy came to play, had the lead for a while, but in the end, Windermere is going to up their record to 17-2, hard-fought victory, putting together a string of about half dozen possessions at the end of the fourth quarter, which they scored and did not allow CFCA to score themselves.
That takes us to the end of the ball game, and it is a 52-45 final here in game number 19 of the 9th annual Metro versus Florida Challenge. And as we mentioned earlier, we actually already had determined that the Metro Conference has won the Metro versus Florida Challenge this year, as they have earned more than 10 victories, and so that is all they need. However, because we promised you 20 games, we're going to bring you 20 games, and so we do have one more for you tonight before we put this event in the can. Winter Park, the Wildcats, will take on the First Academy Royals in our final game of the 9th annual Metro versus Florida Challenge, presented by Burnfat Orlando and St. Germain Chiropractic Clinics, and that happens in just under 20 minutes. For those of you who are watching our online webcast, we will have to ask that you exit out of this video and get into the next one, because each of our 20 games is its own separate YouTube event. We do that because it makes them much easier to archive and protects us in case anything goes wrong with one of them. So again, make sure that you exit this live stream, get into the next one, and we will meet you there in about 19 and a half minutes.